All right, thank you for staying with us. It is 31 days to the general election, and as expected, all eyes are on the presidential poll. Now, according to data released by the Independent National Electoral Commission, 93 million registered voters are expected to vote in the February the 25th and March the 11th elections. A breakdown of the figure shows that youth aged 18 to 35 years constitute the largest voting bloc with 37 million registered voters. This is closely followed by middle-aged persons between ages of 35 to 49 years with 33 million voters, while elderly persons between ages 50 to 69 years who registered are about 17 million. And senior citizens aged 70 years and above who registered are about 5 million in number. Since the release of the statistics, the coalition of united political parties has raised the alarm of a large number of foreigners on INEC register, raising more doubts about the integrity of the register, fear of preloading of bimodal voters accreditation system prior to election day. Now, we have joining us via Zoom to examine these issues and more, former Resident Electoral Commissioner of INEC, Barrister Mike Igini. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Now, a myriad of issues leading up to the elections, from the integrity of the register to we see the complexities of Section 134 also being raised, of the Constitution being raised as a matter for the elections. And then we see again in Benue State, the Court of Appeal sitting in Makurdi nullifying the Benue State All Progressives Congress governorship primaries just days to the elections. What does all of these issues portend for the 2023 election?
Well, thank you very much. I think I would like to start this program with you on the number of issues that you raised. From the point of view of my optimism about the fact that all Nigerians, that this coming election is one that is within your power to determine. First, I would like to have here that as a people, as a country, we must have something to build on. Today in this country, you now have the 2022 Electoral Act. You now have robust processes and procedure designed by INEC to deal with historical challenges of election service delivery. As a result, as you could see today, that many Nigerians have invested their hope, their future, their emotion, attachment to this coming election. Consequently, which is the observation I want if Nigeria can share that with me, and that is that unlike in previous years, where we just have 31 days to election, today there is no tension, election-related tension. You don't find that in the country today. The country is calm. Apart from issue about insecurity that have been around with us here, this is because of the level of interest that Nigerians have in this election. Because, as I said in one program, I have made a few calls, as I usually do during the eve of election, close to election, to find out what is going on. Nobody is traveling. People are not traveling like before, where people have been prepared to travel to Ghana, outside the country. That is not happening at the moment. As we speak, many Nigerians who came to register, or those who left the country before, who have registered, they are all coming back to Nigeria. That is to tell you that for me, no other time than now that I've ever had this kind of hope, optimism about the fact that this 2023 election will be a good one for all of us. If, as I drill down to some of the issues that we have raised, we are able to work together, because the devil is in the implementation. You have good law, you have process and procedure, but the devil is in implementation. And so first, for a very hopeful, successful election that we are looking forward to, just few days, we are now talking about 32 days to election. The INEC have told the whole world that its preparedness, its readiness for this election is work in progress, and it has advanced such that out of the 14 clearly published schedule of activities, it has completed 11 out of 14. What is now left is just 4. All right? Now, the register of voters that you talked about have been released to everybody. Here are the things Nigerians need to know about the register. That the INEC register, irrespective of some of the issues that have been raised, which are genuine and correct, the good news is that the provisions that have supported the bloating of register, of having us on INEC register, to have it, sexed up, that we've been fighting for a period of 20 years under the 2022 Act, they have all now been repealed. Section 49 of the previous Repeal Act, section which of course gave power to presiding officers, so that when you put the names of Jamaica, New Zealand, from all over the world, because that section says that the presiding officer, if he is satisfied, that's the language, very subjective, discretionary power, was what politicians used to connive with ad hoc staff. Don't forget that it was at that time, they were also infiltrating the ad hoc staff, so that many of the people you see at the unit actually politician agents who were at polling unit, presiding officers. But that have changed. We now use what we call the NYSC. Now, under the current act, section 47 has changed section 49 of the act that have been used for 20 years, that have produced so many politicians in Nigeria. Second is the old section 53 that talks about total number of register. Around the world, it can never be correct that where you have 500 people on the register of voters, that election day, almost 100% will turn up. It can never happen. But because of provision of section 53 and section 49, now that has been repeated to section 47, that was possible before. But under the current act, that has changed. What you now have is section 51. Now talks about total number of accredited voters. That is those who actually came on election day. And that is why people should be careful about this register. Don't go celebrating that in your polling unit, in your ward, in your zone, in your local government, you have thousands of register of voters, like the one that they are trying to do in Imo State. It's an exercise in futility, because at the end of voting under the current system, a new register, I repeat, a new register will be produced of those who actually came and accredited using the beavers, which is compulsory, because admission into the polling unit is first and foremost, you must have your PVC. And that is why we are encouraging everybody to go get your PVC. If you must participate in the ceremony of exchange, you must wear garment. Number 3, about this register, it is that the 94.5 million we are talking about will not change on the day of election. That's on the 25th of February, as well as 11th of March, where you are going to have governorship and state house of assembly election. These figures will not change. But more of interest for the people to know is that no longer have what we call bankable votes. No more bankable votes that were supported, section 49 and particularly section 53, that have all now been repealed after 20 years of our struggle that must change. And that's why I keep thanking the National Assembly. Oh, if by way of what we call the Damascus experience, and they change it, we thank the National Assembly. Also, Mr. President, for signing into law. But more important, civil society of Nigeria and all well-meaning people, within this and outside the country that made this happen in our country. So therefore, going towards the election, with respect to the issue of the candidates that are yet to be determined, those are matters for the court to determine. Regrettably, apart from the presidential election, which you referenced, a whole number of governorship candidates, senatorial, House of Rep, State House of Assembly, their candidature will not be determined before this election. This is a serious area of regress in our democracy, that political parties that are supposed to be essential organ of the democratic process, they have failed woefully, that to the extent that we are going for election, candidates for election will not be known. However, that will not stop the election from going on, because today, at the moment, the ballot paper adorns the logo of political party and not the picture of candidate. So you have no problem with that. Of course, we have also heard issues about party agents. Let me be very clear here, that before now, because of those provisions, Section 49, Section 53, Section 68, that have not been repealed, we now have what we call Section 65, where before now, many politicians who came to office, where they achieved that through gunpoint, where people will declare somebody a winner, a professor will appear as a returning officer, and somebody will declare a winner, and when you go to court, the court will say something different. That has changed. Under the current Section 65, INEC within 7 days now has power to review any declaration that is not voluntary, that is not done out of due process. INEC now has the power within 7 days with all the stakeholders to review that. It is not the already suspect returning officer that had the power to review so, contrary to what a very senior advocate obviously probably would not have read that section very well. It is not the returning officer that is given the power under the current proviso to review it. It is the commission that has the power to do so. Now, beyond that is the fact that as we speak today, so on the issue of a party agent, the point being made here is that INEC is the agent of all contestants in any election. It is because of the lack of trust, because of years of election rigging in our country, that we no longer trust ourselves, that it became necessary that we ensured that party agent should be there. In any case, Section 43 of the Act itself is very clear. And please, this information is very important for all the states of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, where you have different political parties that are actually in charge and at the center. And that is that under Section 43, the president, the vice president, the minister, heads of agencies, the governor, deputy governor, commissioners, local government chairman, council chairman are precluded from being party agents under the current system. In any case, if they elect to want to be party agents, they must have resigned from their office 3 months to the election. So as we speak today, if by any mistake, any of these categories of persons have mentioned, names have been sent to INEC as party agents, they should go and withdraw those ones now, because the law is very clear that the statutory discretion, I repeat, to determine party agent is purely that of the political party. It is not that of INEC. But as good practice, based on experience, INEC have been trying to micromanage political parties because of their failure by asking them to do so early enough. But that is not to say that the discretion, because the law didn't even say that compulsorily political party must serve party agent. They may, if they choose so, and the opening statement of that section is that each political party may, submit to INEC. Now, one requirement, amongst other new requirements that you have now, is that the picture, the photograph of a party agent, it must be affixed to the form. And INEC require the specimen of their signature. I will not discuss the reason INEC is asking for that. When they fail to do so, or when they have done so, and they are issued, why INEC requested for that will be made known in future. So I think that against the background of what I see across the country, the enthusiasm that I've never seen before, I make one clear prediction here. This election is not going to be, there's not going to be a runoff. It's going to be won and lost across almost all elections without going for any runoff. Because people are going to come out in a massive way that is very unequal in the history of election in our country. The greatest promise of democracy is peaceful transfer of power. Today, we have the law. Today, we have robust INEC process and procedure. What is now left in the security environment? That is the purview of security agencies, as well as the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. Good enough, Mr. President have declared at different fora on the need for security, to be apolitical, to be fair, to be neutral, to be that the only way for them to be a dependable ally of democracy is to stand tall and mighty in defense of this democracy and the rule of law.
All right, Mr. Igini, we need to quickly go on a commercial break. When we return, we'll continue this conversation with you. Please stay with us. All right, thank you for staying with us. Before we went on the break, we were speaking with Barrister Mike Igini. He was talking to us about the coming elections and how enthusiastic Nigerians are. And that is one quick question I'd like to throw to you, Barrister Igini. What do you think is at the heart of this enthusiasm that you have mentioned you are seeing in a majority of Nigerians that we have never witnessed before?
Thank you very much. The enthusiasm that we are observing today is on account of the fact that votes now count in our country. Because 10 years, I have been part of efforts to give meaning and purpose to the ballot as the best means of the expression of the will of the people in a democracy. Today, you now have the bids. Today, INEC results are now declared at the polling unit and uploaded to the cloud, such that myself will speak to you as an example, or like in time past, where from morning to the evening, as a presiding officer at your home, who is the anchor of this program, you were at the Work Relations Center. From morning to the evening, you will not know what transpired here. But I am expected to come and give you the hard copy of the Form EC8A. In the past, on my way to meet you, the result will be changed. Or by the time I get to where you are to do the collation of the entire polling unit that constitute a ward on conspiracy, party agent opposition has chased their way, then the result is changed. So over time, Nigerians who are polling unit where the result had earlier been declared and Mr. A has won, but when he gets to the Work Collation Center or the local government or at the state, at all levels of collation, suddenly somebody gets declared a winner. That is now a thing of the past. Today, at the polling unit, in the 176 polling unit that INEC is going to use for this election, I have said before, 176,846 polling units. at the end of the poll, a new register will emerge. After the counting of the result, the Form EC8A, the beavers will be used to take the picture of the image of the Form EC8A. It will be reproduced in Form EC60E and pasted at the polling unit, what is now called the people Form EC8A. The duplicate shall be given by the presiding officer as required under Section 60, Subsection 4 and 5, compulsorily to the party agent. Section 61 has now empowered, as usual, the party agent to also demand for a recount. But what is more important here, which is the game changer, why people are so interested in this election, is that, unlike before, once I upload it into the cloud, you, the anchor person that we are using as an example now, without talking to me, without formal communication with me as to what happened in my polling unit, you have a code access to see the results as declared at the polling unit. Therefore, my coming to give you the hard copy, there will be no incentive anymore for me to connive with anybody to alter, change, switch the result anymore. This is the game changer that we have brought on board. So
all right.
The result will have to be put on the public viewing portal. At the public viewing portal, everybody around the world will see it. And
all right, Mike.
My thought on this.
All right, yes. Mike. Let's drive so we could also touch some other areas that Nigerians are waiting to know. Just yesterday, we had a senior advocate of Nigeria, Olisa Bakoba, here on the program, and he raised a point from the letter he wrote to INEC regarding Section 134 of the Constitution, subsection 1 and subsection 2, that talks about a presidential candidate winning 1/3 votes in 2/3 majority of the states put together and the FCT. And he said the issue of and the FCT, does that mean that if you win all of these 2/3 majority states with the 1/3 votes in the various states and you don't win the FCT, does it mean you will not be declared president? So he said all of these things were confusing. Of course, we had the INEC Education Commissioner, Voter Enlightenment here too, who saw it from a perspective. However, could you help also further make clarifications here so that Nigerians can understand perspectives to this?
Yes. I first commend the senior advocate, SAN, actually for even taking the wind early of the sale of the issue that I already prepared. That I don't think we will have the time to go into that today, but just to underscore the significance of what he has said. It is that a stone's thing coming should not blind the eye. In a highly contested election, as we are in this current situation, it is important that issues that may likely be taken to court that can be resolved now, can be determined now, should be determined now without having to go to court. That is why that section he raised, he observed, noted, they have noted that over time, but the commission has not done anything about it. Now is the time for the commission, and I'm happy that Mr. Bakoba deferred to the agency. INEC should be one first and foremost to make that determination, which of course is subject to judicial review if people do not think that INEC position as to that interpretation of that section is not correct. What that section says, in my own understanding also, it is to the fact that even though you have 25% in the 2/3 of the state, that's for presidential election, and it's also applicable to the state level. I have the data for the entire numbers of states and those of other states where you have what you call fraction. But on the presidential, it will seem that by that provision, when it talks the 36 states and the federal capital territory, it means that you must have that 25% in the federal capital territory to be able to be declared a winner. But so again, let INEC, and I join him to defer to the commission to come up with a position on that. At the state level, you will observe, and that's why we don't have the time here, I have provided you, I've worked out the entire details on each state of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, where you do not have what you call fraction. Because there are some states where you have what you call fraction. Where you have fraction, the question now is the commission using either the upper threshold or the lower threshold? For instance, there are a number of states where when you talk about two-thirds, let's say, for instance, let's use, I don't want to mention a particular controversial state. I'm trying to check one of the data I've worked at. Yes. Now, let me give you an example of that out of the 36 states of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, today as I speak to you, and this thing must be sorted out before this election, and that is that 13 states are the only state where you can make a clear pronouncement that this is what constitutes two-thirds. For instance, let me use Jigawa State. Jigawa State has 27 local governments. Two-thirds of 27 is 18. I'm not a mathematician, but the mathematicians that are out there, you can confirm that. Similarly, Imo State, because it's 27, you must score that 1/4, the two-thirds must be 18 local government. Anything short of 18 local government, any declaration is unconstitutional. Similarly, Adamawa and Anambra, for instance, they have 21 local government. Two-thirds of that is 14. Similarly, Osun State, you have 30 local government. Two-thirds is 20 states. And of course, Kebbi and Kogi State, you also have 21 local government. These ones are clear. But however, a whole number of 21 states, I just give you one or two figures as we move to any other issue that is left. You have, for example, Abia State. If you are to do the computation of two-thirds of 17, it gives you 11.3. So if you have in Abia State that you have a highly contested election and somebody scored 11.3 in making that computation, which of the threshold are you going to take? Because the only way it can be easy is that if somebody is able to score beyond this computation, because you are talking about fraction. Can you fractionalize a state? That is a matter for the commission to determine. And that is why I am saying, in fact, 2 months ago, I was to take on this issue, but I was decided that, look, let me hold on, that as we are getting close to the election, we'll be taking the issue seriously. That is one that the commission need to deal with. But to take on that point, Agbakoba is right. The last issue is that of raised by the SCN Chief Wale Olanikpeku, the respected SIC, with respect to Section 65. I heard him on interview. I have also been trying to reach out to him to give him a context that for 20 years, politicians have used Section 68 that say that the decision of a returning officer with respect to unmarked ballot paper, scores, and return made is final, has been used by politicians to get into public office in Nigeria.
All right.
How?
Barrister Igini, we need to quickly go on a commercial break. When we return, we'll continue this conversation. Please stay with us. All right, thank you for staying with us. Before we went on the break, we're still speaking with Barrister Mike Igini, and he was talking about the controversy raised around Section 65. You might want to continue from that point you were raising before we went on the break. Yes.
There should be no controversy about that. Because for 20 years, 20 good years, we have been fighting this matter. That many people were returned to election on gunpoint. The proviso now, with respect to Section 65, dealing with the old Section 68, is to the effect that where the whole world, as you all saw in the 2019 election, where a university don was on gunpoint and he told the whole world that he was being compelled to make a declaration that declaration stood till date. What a shame. That is the lowest level of democratic discredit. The current provision is to the effect that such a declaration will require a review, not by the returning officer, as I heard the senior advocate saying, no, because such a returning officer himself is also part of the person to be investigated. That is the whole essence of Section 65. You also will recall that Section 31, that have been a problem in our elections in Nigeria, that says that, for example, that whoever, whatever list of candidates that a party present to INEC, INEC shall not reject for any reason whatsoever, using such an omnibus word, was foisted on Nigerians on account of a hurried amendment, a midnight amendment, because we were implementing the old Section 87, subsection 9, which says that where political parties have conducted primaries monitored by INEC, witnessed, but however, a different name is submitted, INEC shall not accept that candidate with respect to the then section, the old Repeal Act under Section 87, subsection 9. That was what we did in Cross River State. In response to that, they rushed down to the National Assembly and they amended Section 31 to now put that omnibus word. It took us long period. Now that has changed under Section 29 to the effect that whoever that you are going to submit to INEC must have emerged from valid primary. That is Section 29 of the current 2022 Electoral Act. So Section 65 was intended to cure the mischief of returning people who didn't win election through gunpoint. Now people want us to be going to tribunal. Why should we go to tribunal to resolve such matter administratively? INEC is a regulator of election in the Federal Republic of Nigeria to the exclusion of any other organ. INEC will first and foremost interpret the laws administratively in carrying out its job, subject to judicial review. But to suggest that we should go and do an amendment, something that we fought for 20 years and we are able to get it back, is a recipe for future rigging or domiciling our matter in court. Look, the entire design of the current act are intended to bring the best in the system. They are intended to ensure that the will of the people govern, because the whole embrace of democracy is essentially because it brings about participation and accountability to the process of human development. The error we have made, and this is the reason why I'm so happy today. I am excited about the future, that our challenges today will usher us into a promising tomorrow because of the law, the procedure. I have never spoken like this before for 10 years that I've been in the system, because I knew a lot of roadblocks against our way. Today, we have been fighting about having Electoral Offenses Commission since 1999. You don't have it in place. So I cannot speak to you. I cannot wax, optimistic about, a persecution of electoral offenders. But with respect to the statutory provisions that are used to rig elections in this country, it is game over. It is game over. That's why Nigerians are excited. The biggest error that we have made over the years is the failure to appreciate the primacy, the centralities of politics and political processes, that in terms of their interaction, both internal and external, in shaping state goals and developmental outcomes. Do you know that issues about education, health, economy, job creation, they are embedded in politics and political processes? It's only those who are in the political arena that can decide that. If you don't feel the politics, you can never fix the economy. People's faith in and support for any system is predicated on what the system offers them, because it is what the shovel does for a farmer that makes it put on the shoulder. Therefore, the current system that we have in place, it is one that has returned power to the Nigerian people. Now elections are going to be won and lost at the polling unit, not longer at collation center, not even the court of law. Look, my optimism is based on the fact that before the act, the bill was signed, before it was signed, by the president on the 25th of February, 2022 last year. INEC have used this system to do what? Done a pilot across over 105 elections. And all those elections, nobody is challenging the outcome, apart from this Oshun that we are seeing for the first time. None have been challenged on the basis of procedure, but issue about primaries, a proper organ did not give you a ticket, issue about certificate. Those were the issues that were challenging court in all the elections. So who said that vote do not count? Vote now can. If vote do not count, why do people want to buy vote? If vote do no longer count. Nigerians, your vote will count. Go and collect your PVC. The use of beavers is compulsory. No more incident form. Nothing like preloading of beavers. Anybody, look, politicians are so gullible. Do you know that an ordinary cleaner working in INEC can deceive politicians and collect money from politicians? Because ICT issues, it's still complex for many, including some of us, really. We are just struggling to try to catch up. Several years ago, the internet was the mystical province of the physicists, but it's today a commonplace encyclopedia. Any and all who fail to appreciate development in ICT will be overtaken by the chaos of decay and decline. They want need to understand that. So result upload is both online and offline. People talk about hacking. Assuming they hack anything, which is not true. What about the hard copy?
Barrister Igini,
go and set up your situation room.
We have to leave the conversation here now for want of time.
And thank you very much for having me. And I wish Nigerians a very hopeful, successful election. People must have something to build on. This election is about you people. Go and vote. Go and vote.
I am certain that a majority of Nigerians are encouraged that beyond picking their PVCs, they will come out and that
they have to. Look. When
we have to leave it here. We have to leave it here, Barrister.
You must continue to move on.